Good morning. This is Lou Johnson, your host, and you're listening to Forward March Podcast. How's it going, folks? Been away a little bit, dealing with school things, and now that I'm on spring break, it's a great time to bring a next guest on. So I'm here with Drew. Drew, your last name's Grayson, right?
Grace. Grace.
Really? Mm-hmm. Wow, that's very unassuming, because you are not graceful.
It's a beautiful last name.
That's what I hear from you.
That's what I know.
Fair enough. So my guest, Drucifer Grace, is here with me today, and he's got a very unique story, just as the past guests have had unique stories, and he's going to share them with us. So we're going to jump right into it. Tell us where you're from. Where'd you grow up?
Dallas, Texas, 4 hours north of Austin. Well, specifically Plano. Lived there for the first 18 years of my life. Grew up just like in a normal neighborhood, simple middle-class family. Did typical sports, all that kind of fun stuff. For the first 12 years, it was normal. And then after that, it was a little bit different.
It takes you 4 hours to get to Dallas.
Does it take you shorter?
Like 2.5.
Damn.
Which way do you go?
35, yeah?
Yeah, it's the same route I go.
Okay, well, you don't get stopped in Temple?
I don't get stopped in Temple?
Yeah, there's so much traffic in Temple.
Oh, I thought you meant like because I'm black.
Oh, okay.
No, I don't get stopped anywhere. I'm usually moving too fast to get stopped, which is why I'm surprised it takes you 4 hours. No, I don't get stopped in Temple.
Man, I'm on the 10s and 2s.
Hey, man.
You're a cop. You pulled me over. You know that.
Nah, that's a bullshit ticket. Shit, we very rarely made traffic stops.
You'd be surprised the cops on 35, they'll pull you over for anything going 5 over. They'll pull you over for not using your blinker. It's crazy.
No, maybe they just like me. Okay, so you were in Dallas until you were
18.
18.
Then I moved to Austin to go to school at UT.
Okay. What'd you study at UT?
Economics.
Wow. Shit. I didn't know that.
Yep.
How'd you like it? UT.
I loved UT. Economics was biggest waste. Didn't do shit with it. But it was one of those things where we'll continue to pay for your schooling, Drew, if you continue to get good grades. And for some reason, I knew economics, so I got A's and B's in all my courses.
Wow. Economics type courses, you excelled in them in high school, obviously, because you decided it was going to be your major?
No, I just kind of fell into the major.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then your parents were like, hey, we'll keep paying for it?
Yeah.
Fucking hey.
That's kind of what it was. And once I graduated, it was like, all right, spread your wings, Drew. Go find something else.
Once you graduated from UT, what did you go and do?
Sales.
Okay.
Inside sales.
For any particular company? Or?
Yeah, for an online marketing company called Yodel. I think they got bought by another small company called Lighthouse, but it's what you would think inside sales is. You just sit in front of the computer, you press a button, the phone rings, a guy answers, you give him the pitch, he either yells at you, says no, or for some awkward reason says yes, and you try and pitch him. And that's about how my day went.
For how long did your day go like that?
For about 4 months. I did it for 4 months, surprisingly.
And then you were like, I'm out?
Yeah, and then it bounced.
And you went to where?
And then after that, I became a merchandiser for an apparel company based out of San Antonio. So they design T-shirts for different sports teams.
So you said earlier that life in Dallas was pretty normal for the first 12 years. Is that how you said it?
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty kosher.
What changed after that?
Just a football game in the street.
Look, man, don't fuck around. Tell us all about it. So you're playing football in the street like most kids our age. Well, I don't know how fucking old you are. I'm sure I'm older than you.
I'm sure.
Fuck off. Wow. Pour my beer on your face. You cannot have my beer anymore. So you're playing football in the street like most kids did.
Yeah,
and
like most 12-year-olds.
Yeah, so tell us about that day.
And yeah, I was playing football. I got tackled and hit my head on the curb and went into a seizure right then and there. We initially thought it was just, a base concussion, go into a seizure. Of course, it's like, a big freak out. Someone watching their child have a seizure, it's a big deal. And of course, a seizure is a big deal to anyone.
Right.
So I had that. They brought me into the hospital, got a CAT scan, and realized that I had a very large mass about the size of a ping pong ball in my right frontal lobe of my brain.
Was it a ping pong ball or no?
I wish. I wish it was. Let's put it that way. Just to preface the story, I wish it was a ping pong ball. Because that's how much of my brain at this point is missing. So it would have saved a lot of hardship if it was just a ping pong ball.
All right. Ease us back into it. You're playing football.
Yeah,
Some dude tackles you. You hit your head. You start seizing. They take you to the hospital. They do some imaging.
CAT scan. See the ping pong ball size image in my brain. Basically, during this whole process, I've been put under. I wake up the next morning in a children's hospital in downtown Dallas, thinking, what the hell's going on? I see my mother in this tiny little recliner asleep next to me, still in her makeup with her mascara, kind of running down her eyes. Obviously, I didn't know at the time, but that's the look that someone has when they had been, bawling their eyes out. Didn't know that at the time. But, I woke her up and said, what the hell's going on? She tried to, as best as she could, basically, to keep it together, to tell me that I had a brain tumor. Of course, quote unquote, everything's gonna be okay. And
damn.
And at that age, at 12 years old, I didn't really understand the complications to it and how serious things were, how impactful this whole situation was. So my response to her, I distinctly remember this, was, well, let's just have them take it out. Not thinking anything else, just like, all right, well, I'm here. I'm in the hospital. Let's just have them take it out. It's not going to be an issue. That was hoping for as a 12-year-old, and this is me now with a few more experiences and a few more stories. Let's put it that way.
Right. So we spoke about this when a couple months into knowing each other. I think just in passing, and the conversation didn't really gain any traction. You'd made some comment, I don't know, we were messing around and you made some comment about having had brain surgery, and I was like, oh, really? And then I didn't follow up on it. And then last night you and I are talking and you give me more detail about it, and I was like, shut up, don't tell me anything more. You're going to come on the show, because this is just one of those examples, right, that, I don't know, we take life for granted, right? Here you are playing football like you'd probably done a million times before. And this particular time you get tackled, you hit your head, and you have a seizure. You go to the hospital and they discover that you've got cancer of the brain. And if not for that day of playing football and being so many things had to come together for, like, the stars had to align in a particular fashion that allowed you to sustain such an injury that you had to go to the hospital and get a CAT scan for them to say, hey, we developed, or we did this imaging and we discovered a mass in your brain.
Yeah.
Because if not for football, that day you would not have known. And then you could have had that for, I don't know, until it was too late, right?
And according to the doctors, I had it since I was born.
Wow.
It had been growing since I was born.
That's both scary and amazing. So you're in the hospital and you say, hey, Mom, let's just get it removed. We're here, we'll have them check under the hood, change the oil, rotate the tires. And then what happens after that?
So basically after that, I was in the hospital for about a week and a half where they were running multiple tests on me, where I kind of picked up that it wasn't as going to be as simple as, okay, just go in there and take it out. I was meeting with 3 different doctors a day. I was getting in 2 MRIs a day. I was getting, as I said, MRIs. And of course, the funny thing about MRIs, which I'm sure you've had before, it's very hard to stay still. MRI, 3 doctors, 2 MRIs, 3 doctors. That lasted for about a week and a half. And then finally one day I got brought into a room and there was the doctors that I'd all been seeing, and it was going to be the surgeon and all of his team that were going to be there in the room. And one thing that I picked up on, which I even mentioned to my mother when I was back then when I was 12 and when I became older as well, was that I felt like my surgeon was really dark and like really cold towards me before the surgery.
What do you mean by that? How so?
Very short answers, very just strict, to the point, didn't want any small talk. I come from a very outgoing family.
Yeah.
Really, everything's on the table when it comes to talking. They don't shy away from anything. I was raised to be that way, so I'm not an in-your-face type of person, but at the same time, I'm going to shy away. I'm going to, come over to you, ask you how your day is going, all that kind of stuff. So that's the type of person I was even at 12 years old. And so when I would try and ask him how his day was and all that kind of stuff, he would not give me the time of day. And I realized that was because he didn't know if I would make it after the surgery. And he had done that so many times with kids and they didn't make it that he couldn't, start a relationship and start a bond with these kids that he was working on and fear that they might, die. Yeah. It's tough.
Yeah. That's really rough.
Yeah. Being a surgeon for children, it's got to be really hard. Really hard.
So obviously the job made him dark. I mean, what you observed and explained to your mother wasn't it wasn't just something you made up. It actually, he was that way. And he probably felt like he had to be that way so that he could toughen up his heart a little bit.
Definitely. Yeah, of
Damn.
course. Yeah.
Damn, that's sad. It's sad when you choose a profession with like this idea that, I'm just going to save lives and it'll be great. And it doesn't always work out how we think it's going to work out.
No.
And then it's like it changes your perspective and your idea about the job. And you keep doing it anyway.
Yeah.
That's some courage right there.
Yeah, it really is.
So before the surgery was a little rough. And then you go into surgery and they remove this ping pong sized ball from your head.
They do.
How was recovery?
Well, it was nice because...
It was nice.
Well, I preface this response with it was nice because it happened during my winter break. So I was in the hospital, unfortunately. Well, on one hand it was nice, on the other hand it wasn't. But I was in the hospital during Christmas. Which on one hand it wasn't nice because you don't have that homey feeling and Santa coming and all that kind of stuff. But at the same time, I got to meet like hella athletes. Like Dallas Stars players came in, Texas Rangers players came in. Like I have so many bobbleheads. It's crazy.
So they were just coming through to see kids during Christmas, doing their charity work?
Doing their thing, yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, just signed bobbleheads all over the place.
Wow. That's actually better than Christmas, in my personal opinion.
Yeah, and of course back then, as I said, when I was 12, into sports and all that kind of stuff, so seeing all the people you watch on TV was great, and it put a smile on my face, which I'm sure is the reason that they go to these hospitals, is for that sole purpose, to put a smile on these sick kids' faces.
Right.
Yeah.
And so you're in the hospital for how long post-surgery?
2 to 3 days.
Oh, really?
That's it.
Brain surgery, just 2 to 3 days.
Yep.
I had spine surgery, and they kept me there for a week.
No, 2 to 3 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So then you just go home, and they're like, hey, have a good time, kid.
Yeah, so because it was during winter break, they just said, go home, relax. Yeah, I just, all through winter break, and then when I came back, I learned 2 things. One, which I tried to explain to my friend multiple times. He actually did me quite a great favor, and it wasn't his fault that I had what I had, but the kid that hit me, his name was Grant. After I got put in the hospital for my tumor and brain cancer and all that kind of stuff. It was a schwannoma tumor, actually, to be more specific. He went to school and thought it was his fault.
That you had the tumor.
Because he hit me and I got a concussion. At 12 years old, I guess you know.
That's how he put everything together.
He's
like, oh my God.
Together. Yeah, he thought, I tackled him. I tackled cancer into his head. Yeah, so I had to go back and try to explain that to him, but yeah, he was pretty messed up.
Hold on one second. Before you tell us, hold on a second before you tell us about your celebrity. Grant was like in the future. He was in the year 2099 because I've been trying to wish cancer into some motherfuckers for the longest time. More specifically, our president of the United States. I've been trying to wish cancer into all my enemies. It hasn't happened. You know what? We all need to play some fucking touch or some flag football.
You gotta play some football in the street.
In the street, everybody's getting a fucking concussion. Everybody. All right, I'm sorry. So you go back to school, you're a celebrity. Boom.
Yeah, surprisingly. Didn't think so. That it would be such a big deal. I went back to school with a beanie, so that drew some notoriety from some people, especially teachers.
What kind of beanie were you wearing?
Oh, straight up thug.
Yeah, I know, man.
Yeah.
Did it say NWA on it? Was it the Dallas Cowboys? What kind of?
Oh no, it was like in LA, but like using the fingers like in a gangster way.
Yeah, that's nice.
Hadn't even been to LA yet at 12 years old, but I just knew it was the beanie for me.
That's gangster shit. You were ahead of your time. You knew you were a gangster before you knew you were a gangster.
Yeah, but actually, if you want a little side story. A little bit more comic relief for this whole discussion.
Yeah.
The actual beanie I used was my brother's. He got the beanie. My mother bought him the beanie to go to school on a Monday because on a Sunday that she brought him to a Fantastic Sam's at like 8:59 at night, and they close at 9. So these ladies are like, "I'm done with work. We're closing shop." They were like turning the key. Let's put it that way. And Mom was like, "No, get my son in there, please. No, one more cut." So my brother goes in there, and they just get like weed whackers to fuck his shit up.
They're like, "You want to come in at 8:59? Right. I got you, girl. Yeah, your boy's cut. I got you." They just
get a razor and just close their eyes and go to town. So much that he walked out and he cried, and she felt guilty. Went to PacSun and got him a beanie. And that's the beanie I wore for like 6 months.
That is awesome. Okay, the show's over. Thanks.
Yeah, that was. I still have that beanie actually.
You still wear it?
I did for my most recent surgery that I had 2 years ago.
How many surgeries have you had?
I've had 4.
Okay.
Yep.
So why so many?
Well,
just out of curiosity, because I don't know. Out of ignorance, I guess.
Yeah, no worries. One was to remove the initial mass, and then the second one was to remove more mass in my brain that basically cancerous mass. Let's put it that way. And then the next 2 were because of the first 2 surgeries I had. I developed a lot of damaged scar tissue, which led to epilepsy. So my next 2 surgeries were trying to deal with my epilepsy.
So you would just go into epileptic shock and basically display seizure-like activity, or
I'm full out, like I'm grand master, grand mal seizures.
Seizures.
Yeah.
So what should someone do if they encounter someone having a seizure?
I don't know.
Come on, man, you got to know this.
I've never been around a person that has a seizure.
Yeah, but here's the thing. They didn't give your ass a pamphlet. They didn't give your mother a pamphlet and say, "Hey, if your son has a seizure, do these things."
No. You see all that stuff in movies where they get like a wooden spoon or some shit and they put it in someone's mouth.
They put a leather belt in your mouth.
Yeah, right. They grab their tongue or something like that. No. Like, I've been with Lauren for 8 years. She's seen me have probably 20 to 30 seizures at this point. She just says, "All right, I'm here." She, just lets me know that she's next to me and just lets me do my thing. That's about it.
Do you think she's really next to you, or do you think she's seen you have so many seizures that she's like, "Okay, I'll be right back. I'm going to run to the store."
Right.
I've seen this show before. I know how long it lasts.
She just like pats me on my shoulder until I go unconscious, and then I wake up and I yell for her, and then she's like, "Oh shit, he's back up!" She runs over to me.
She's all, "Be right back."
Yeah, right.
Like you wake up. Why do we have a baby monitor?
Exactly. Yeah, the computer's open on
FaceTime,
like
and she's just recording. And she's like, "Cool, he's still out. I'm gonna get my nails done."
Exactly.
Okay, so you don't really know the answer to that. So you go in, you have all these seizures, you have developed epilepsy. How do they handle that? I mean, because you and I had a pretty interesting discussion last night where you told me that they actually found a way to fix it, sort of, right?
Yeah, so I'll go back to my first surgery to deal with my epilepsy was, in a simplistic way to say, it was basically like brain grafting. So what they did was they opened up my head, removed part of my skull, put basically this grid over the damaged scar tissue, which is, they basically put it over the area where I don't have brain.
Right.
Let's put it that way.
That's a lot of area.
Yeah. I know that was some shit joke, and I see you smirking over there. All the damaged scar tissue. And then closed my brain back up, and then I had cords coming out the back of my neck with these little nodes attached to these cords.
Yeah.
That were then attached to this little fanny pack that I had to wear for a week. And in that week, I had to have as many seizures as possible. So they would have me hyperventilate into a paper bag. They put a strobe light in my face. They put me on a treadmill. They flashed the lights in the... I'd get into the bathroom. They'd flash the lights off and on. I mean, they did a lot of stuff trying to get me out of a seizure. I couldn't sleep. It was tough. It was definitely the worst week of my life. I think I had about 5 of them.
Wow.
Yeah, and the first one I had was right when I got out of surgery. So that was really tough. Just getting out of surgery and being all groggy and instantly going right into a seizure is not fun. But yeah, so that was the first one. And so I guess it's like a 2-part surgery that I include into one. Then they go back up, open up my head again, take the map off that has all the nodes on it. With the information that they gathered using a little mapping for where I had my seizures, they're able to pinpoint where the electricity basically builds up in my brain. So they remove that area of damaged scar tissue, hoping that it would, solve my epilepsy. Of course, if you have one seizure, you're always declared epileptic. It's just how it is. At least that's what I've been told. It is what it is in my case, given how many I've had. But it helped for probably about 4 to 5 years. And then halfway through college, they just picked right back up out of nowhere.
So you didn't have a seizure for 4 to 5 years?
4 to 5 years, didn't have one.
That must have been nice.
It was really nice.
Thought you were like in the clear, and then they just picked up out of nowhere.
Out of nowhere.
What changed during that time? Anything in particular that changed during that time in your life that may have been, I don't know, like the catalyst for more seizures?
Drinking.
Oh.
Drugs.
Nice. Any particular drugs that you care to share?
No.
So they were the good ones. Nice.
It was mostly just drinking, though.
Yeah.
Yeah. For quite a few of them, which is dumb, given the fact that if I know that drinking causes my epilepsy, I should know my limits. And it took me a year to figure out my limits, which is way too long, because in that year is when I had the most of my seizures. So I wasn't responsible, but I had a good college experience.
And but that matters as well. Now,
yeah.
I'm not like some advocate for everyone go out, find a hooker and get a couple bumps of coke and sniff coke off a hooker's small of her back in the bathroom at Burger King I haven't seen a fucking Burger King here. Do they have Burger King in Austin? I have not seen a Burger King.
There's one off of Breaker and Mopac.
I'm going to go there just to be like, this
Next
is
to
the
that,
soul.
like, Jack's Lifeboat, that garbage ass seafood restaurant.
Okay.
It's like hidden. They only have that creepy one side that says like chicken fries. No one ever turns in there.
Then I'm not going there. So,
Never had Burger King.
doing bumps of coke off of a P. Terry's bathroom, bathroom toilet
That's
seat.
Austin.
Okay, that's better. All right, sorry.
At a vegan restaurant.
At a vegan. yeah. At some
True Foods.
Yeah. Okay.
Coke at a True Foods.
So you had that experience, which is important, but also what was important was that you determined, you were able to determine what your limits were.
Right.
And then, granted, it took you a little longer. Who cares? You're alive today, and now you know. Because we drink often, and...
We're drinking right now.
Yeah, we're drinking right now. As we always do on the show. I actually had to buy booze for this recording tonight. And now you know your limit. So that's good. You won't overdo it. Okay, and so you had a bunch of seizures, and then what happened after that? Once they began recurring.
Well, I just want to say real quick that for anyone that does have epilepsy, it's tough. It really is to live with it. As this show's all about, it's about pushing on and moving forward. And there's been times that I've had, most of my seizures have been in public. I've gone in bathroom stalls and had them patios at restaurants during happy hour. I've had them in the most inconvenient of places at baseball games. It's just been like, really tough experiences. But if you're going through something like that, just find the right doctor. Keep living your life. But as I said before, it took me a year to get responsible with what I was doing and understand my body and all that kind of stuff. But just be responsible, because it can be tough, but you can live with it.
Yeah. That's very beautifully put, because, it's like you and I, and it's ironic that we're neighbors, because you have your form of broken, I have my form of broken, but we're both still living like normal people. And I mean, I would have never known. Successfully is right. Yeah, absolutely. I would have never known, absent you telling me that you had brain cancer of the brain, that you experience seizures all the time. And very much in the same note, no one looking at me goes, oh, that guy's got heart disease. As a matter of fact, it's like I go to the doctor and I see cardiologists, and I go, yeah, I have heart disease and I'm experiencing these symptoms. And their first question is, did you ever use steroids? And I'm like, are you fucking stupid? Do you know how huge I would be if I used steroids? Like, I tried to find steroids in the past and I failed. So, no, I'm not using steroids, you prick. But I mean...
That's the first question they ask you?
Typically. I mean, probably because I'm black, they assume like it. At some point in time...
Fuck right here.
Fucking Mandingo from the hood must have used steroids, and that's why he's got heart disease. Well, did you use any illicit drugs? Like, man, no. I mean, to be that voice, to be that go-to, to allow that knowledge, to know that, hey, if you have epilepsy, if you have seizures, find the right doctor, learn your body, and you'll live just as normal as anyone else. It's pretty amazing. But basically, you're not living like everybody else, because you're kind of a robot. So why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, that's the last surgery I had. I had met with my neurologist for about... I've been seeing him since I've been in Austin, so since 2009. So for quite a while, I've been seeing him. For probably 6 months prior, a device called a VNS device, which is a vagus nerve simulator, one of the two. I just know as it is called VNS device, or VNS implant, let's put it that way. And basically what this is is they cut a slit in your neck and they put a little circular kind of device in your neck that has a node coming off it that they then attach to your vagus nerve that basically runs up to your brain.
Yeah.
And they can use that information from your vagus nerve to help control your seizures. Now, the issue with that was I would have a device right here that people would see. And if you see this jawline,
it's pretty fantastic. It's a very Superman-like jawline.
I couldn't have a device in my neck being shown.
Yeah, no, it's a no-go.
It's a no-go. So about 6 months later, I was told they're working on a new one called the Responsive Neurostimulator, also known as the RNS device. And this is basically a device that's about half the size of a credit card that is put on top of your brain and has nodes coming off it, if you want to think about it, very small cords.
Sure.
That are placed over the problem area, quote unquote, on an individual's brain. And it will basically track and indicate wherever the electrical buildup is happening, where the seizures could be coming from in your brain. And it will send a small electrical pulse and zap it.
Wow.
Yep.
So how long have you had that in your head?
So I got the RNS device put in about a year, let's say a year and a half ago. And I've had 2 seizures since.
Wow.
Which is crazy.
So just to put things into perspective, you went from having this crazy college life where you had like 5 seizures within that year. Is that what you said? Like 5 within that year? Or during that time?
Oh, no. During that time, I had probably like 15.
Holy shit.
Yeah.
So you went from having 15 unchecked without this device to having this device put in. I mean, granted, some time had passed.
Yeah.
But having this device put in, and you only had 2 in the last year and a half.
Yep.
Were those 2 seizures different than the last? Were they shorter? Were they longer? Were they the same?
They weren't shorter, but what's odd about it is when I got out of the seizure, when I do have my seizures, I have grand mal seizures, which basically, since my damage is on my right side of my brain, it affects the left side of my body. Sure. So my entire left side, all the way from my mouth to the tip of my big toe on my left foot, starts convulsing. So I'm just completely knocked down. And usually that knocks me out for an entire day once I have one of those. Yeah. And each time I've had one of these, oddly enough, my first one was at work, and I told people I was epileptic because they knew that I was having the RNS surgery, so of course they knew I was epileptic. And I told them, if I have one, don't call paramedics or anything like that. Just call my parents or just call Lauren. Here are their numbers. They'll come take care of me. Everything will be fine. First thing they fucking do is call 911. Sure. Which I understand because, it's his place of business. He doesn't want to be held liable for any issues that could happen. But at the same time, it's a company of 4 people. So it's not like we're all close. I'm not going to sue you. Yeah. So I don't know. I kind of felt that was some bullshit. Anyway, these guys showed up and I was coherent enough that I was speaking with them and asking them how their day was. Like, oh, is your day going okay? Oh, I might be the easiest, person that you're going to see today. Hopefully I am. Maybe you'll see someone easier. All right, y'all have a good day. And then they left.
And that's different than it's been in the past.
And usually, as I said, I've been knocked out for... I have the seizure, which usually lasts a minute to 2 minutes, if not more. And then I sleep for about 12 to 15 hours.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So the last two I had the seizure. I was up. I took a nap for about an hour and a half. Of course, I always have a crazy headache. That's just, what comes with it.
Right.
Your brain has just gone through so much. There's going to be some repercussions from what just happened. And yeah, it's just been totally different. It's been a life changer.
That's pretty amazing. And is that technology available to anyone who might be having seizures or?
So it is available to people that have taken over five medications, and they have not been able to treat their epilepsy or control their epilepsy to a specific point. Now, I had been on my 8th by the time that I had gotten approved, so hopefully they've gotten a little bit more lenient with their restrictions in terms of sticking with the 5.
Sure. So is this device, you called it an RNS device. Is it a deep brain stimulator or?
Yeah.
Okay.
So basically, I'll put it specifically for how it is with me. It is, they removed a part of my skull. They put a tray in that area where they removed that area of my skull. I don't know why I say area so many times. The part of my skull they removed, they put a tray there. Think of it as like a lunch tray where it has the lip.
Yeah.
Basically, they used that lip to put 4 screws in, and then in that tray, they put the device.
Okay.
And from that device comes multiple cords. And on these cords are different nodes. So my device has 4 different nodes on it. I have 2 that are on top of my brain, which is on top of the damage area, which is just to the right of the empty mass or emptiness in my right frontal lobe.
Sure.
The void, let's put it that way, my right frontal lobe. And then I have 2 of the other nodes, which are needles, which they actually put into my brain.
Yeah.
And those go right underneath the mass. So I have 2 above and 2 below.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, they closed that up, and they gave me a laptop. It's this janky, like 1998 Dell laptop, but it's probably the most expensive thing I have in my house. and it has one program. It comes with a little device that's attached using a USB that is basically a wand, and all I do is I open the program, I select synchronize, and I use this wand and I put it over my right frontal lobe where the device is located. And basically all the wand is doing is taking all the information that the device has picked up, all the brain activity from that area in my brain that it's picked up over the past 2 weeks or however long it's been since I've uploaded, and it puts it onto the computer. And then there's also a button that says send, and then I just send it over to my neurologist, and he looks at the data, and then he can manipulate my device and adjust its levels to, how much he wants or how fast things need to be shot out, or I don't really know the lingo towards it. I just know that it's in my head and he knows what to do and it works.
Yeah.
Put it that way.
So basically, you're a cyborg.
Yeah, so I've been told.
When you send this data, what is it? Just all digital zeros and ones, or
it's a graph?
It's a graph.
It's a graph. Yeah, it's a graph with a bunch of spikes, and if there's too many spikes in a specific area, so basically it's a graph with 4 lines, each line being a specific node. So with the graph, there will be the spikes of my brain activity, and if there's too many high spikes in an area, then my doctor will see that, notify me of it, and he will be able to adjust my device so that my device can pick up that kind of activity from now on, and see if that's dangerous enough, it'll zap it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so that device picks up on activity in your brain. So basically, if there's too much activity in one specific area, it kind of zaps it. So
well, it does zap it.
It does zap it. So you can't watch porn or masturbate because...
No, too much activity.
Too much activity.
Yeah.
Too many... You'd just be zapped for like a good 3 minutes.
Well, actually, there's been a few times where like I've just, had to wank.
Yeah.
And I've just, gone into a seizure. I just taped my hand to my dick. And then just went into a seizure.
Yeah.
My left hand to my dick, and then just went into a seizure, and it was like a dope-ass hand job.
You know what? This might work out for you.
I never thought about that until now.
Yeah. Well, I got you this. It's duct tape. Just in case you decide to take up that.
I appreciate it. Thanks, man.
Yeah, man. See, this is about knowing what you need in life. You knew I needed Tito's. You knew I needed a 12-pack of Stella, which, might I also add, that because of my diet, lasted me like a month long, that 12-pack.
Really?
Yeah. So now here you go. I got you some duct tape so you can actually tape your hand to your dick. And next time you're going into a seizure, you just have
Just go to town.
It'll be the ride of your life. You won't probably remember it.
I won't.
And you'll wake up tired just as if you would had you been waking it for an hour.
I will.
So you're welcome.
I appreciate that.
That's what I
Thanks,
do.
Luke.
Yeah, I solve problems. That's what I do.
I appreciate that.
I'm here for you.
Thank you.
So, wrapping things up, how has this whole experience changed your life, and how has it affected the people that you care about and that care about you?
Yeah, so...
Wow, hold on. You can't hand me this like mid-sentence. So, I just got handed Drew's phone, and it's an x-ray of... This is an x-ray, yeah?
Yeah.
Of his brain, and this device, this RNS device with the nodes. And I'll tell you, he's definitely a fucking robot.
I knew you were going to say that.
Because...
Although I thought you'd say cyborg.
There's this... Well, I'm just convinced you're full-on robot now. And if Lauren can reprogram you, you're like folding laundry and doing the dishes for the rest of your... I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like at this point, if the government came into my neurologist's office and was like, give me all our information on RNS patients, and he had to give them over at gunpoint, they could just take me over.
Yeah.
I mean, they got full control of my brain activity. They would know what to do. There's some...
They might have you kill someone and then frame you for it.
They'll frame Lauren.
Fair. Well, you have a pretty good defense here, I would say. You can always say, I wasn't in control, and then frame your doctor, your neurologist, for any crimes that you commit.
That's true. That's very
true.
We'd
have to break into his office and then actually, go back and back the data to... But, we'll talk about it offline. But in any case, yeah, I can see the two nodes that go under. I can see the nodes that are on top. Based on this x-ray, it looks larger than a credit card, but of course it looks can be
It's
seen.
probably picking up the tray.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah, that's what it is, because it only takes up half of that area.
Yeah.
Okay. Can I take a picture of this?
Yep. I can send it to you.
Yeah, you can send it to me, because I like to post it on my website so that people can actually see, and that we'll post that along with the holy shit. Don't do that. I still haven't eaten dinner. So then he sends me a picture of his brain exposed, his skull exposed, and this device.
I did the same thing to Lauren, and she freaked out. It's really not that bad.
Oh, really? And she freaked out. It's really not that bad. No, that's pretty bad. Send me all those pictures. Leave the dick pics out. I don't want to see duct tape dick. But send me all the ones of your brain so that our listeners, can really get a grasp as to what you've experienced, what you've been through. From basically all of your adult life, this has been something that you've had to overcome.
Yeah.
And, some people, we are presented with these obstacles in life, and we allow it to be a handicap to our growth. And we make up excuses as to why we can't do A, B, or C because this happened to me.
Yeah.
And this is a beautiful example of how all of these things happen to you at a young age. And you could have just said, you know what? screw it. I'm throwing in the towel. I don't want to do this. You could have let this be the beginning of a lifetime of excuses, and you didn't. Why do you think that is? What do you think is different about you than any other person that allowed you to overcome this obstacle and to persevere?
Honestly, I don't know if it was about me, but the people that I surrounded myself with.
Okay.
Those individuals, anytime I was down, would pick me up. Anytime no one was, people I were relying on weren't there, they would step in. It wouldn't be an issue.
Yeah.
Just the people I surrounded myself with, whether it's close friends, primarily family, primarily Lauren. Honestly, she's been fantastic through this entire thing. But in terms of if you're asking just like about me, I think a lot of it comes from experiences, and by experiences I mean I had cancer from the age from 12 to 15.
Right.
In that time, I wasn't able to play sports, and soccer was my huge thing. I loved playing soccer. All my friends played soccer. It was how, like, you know, I hung out with all my friends, all that kind of fun stuff. So when I turned 17, I still thought I might have it, and I tried out for the school team. Didn't make it, like, first day.
Yeah.
And I realized, and I know it's like super cliche, like, you know, kind of movie scene kind of bullshit, but I kind of realized, like, then and there, you know, like, I had cancer and I survived cancer, but the world kept going on.
Sure.
You know, it's like things didn't stop. Like, people didn't stop, like, honing their, you know, soccer skills because I got sick. They continued to develop even when I didn't.
Right.
So it was, you know, it's, I had not so many, but I had experiences like that throughout my life that have built me up stronger to where I've had to continuously remind myself, oh, people have not had the situation you've had, or people don't have epilepsy like you have. You can't use that as an excuse. So it's always going to be in the back of my mind, having had cancer, knowing it could come up again or something like that. I still have to go in for MRIs every year, and having epilepsy, knowing that something could, you know, spark something like that to come up again. But you can't use those disabilities to bring yourself down, and telling people, especially telling people that you have those disabilities, that never works, because there's so many people that have those disabilities. I know I'm just rambling on at this point.
No. You're making valid points. Continue.
But you can kind of agree in this sense. Like, I've met so many people that have tried to use their disability as an excuse, whether it's an excuse that they didn't get something or a reason that they should get something over someone else. And it just doesn't make sense, because I'm a person that also, although I don't really like to classify having epilepsy as a disability because I don't treat it as such, I do have like a medical complication in my life. I don't believe people should use those as excuses.
Right.
And I don't use that as an excuse in my life, and I believe that's why I am where I'm at today, through these experiences, and not using excuses to get where I am. Sorry, I just totally rambled.
No. What you have described is, as I've said before in past episodes, the basis of the show. You've overcome this medical adversity through being introspective. You've allowed this medical complication to make you a better person. You've allowed this to build you up instead of knock you down. And you've built upon it. And you've done everything right because you met with the right doctors. And when you were presented with a doctor who seemed like you guys weren't a good fit, you dismissed that person. And you found the right resources so that you can live the best possible life that you can despite these medical complications. And I think that that's what should be the takeaway, is that, and as you mentioned earlier, you can have epilepsy, you can have these seizures, you can have heart disease, you can have HIV, you can have whatever medical complication that presents itself in your life, and you can actually take it and make it a positive instead of a negative. And I mean, there's no pun intended when I say that. I'm saying that you can actually use it to make yourself better instead of allowing it to knock you down. Because to not fight is the easy way out. To not persevere and to overcome that obstacle, to not even attempt to overcome that obstacle, that's the easy way. Nothing that is worth it is easy.
Going off of what you just said, after I got done, fingers crossed, got done when I was 15 and was cleared with cancer, I got involved with the Make-A-Wish Foundation.
Yes.
And so that's just going off of what you said, trying to, use what you have to, if not better yourself, but better other people. And I believe that's what I was trying to do through Make-A-Wish. And I think anyone that does that stuff, it helps a lot of people.
Yeah.
It really does. Yeah.
Well, I'm glad that you've been presented with such adversities that you've realized what's important, that you've realized how you can use it to help other people. Because, like I said, man, many people would say, you know what, fuck this, I'm throwing in the towel, I don't want to live anymore, I've got this thing going on, and you know what, I'm done fighting. And you have not only recognized that, you know what, this isn't all bad, I can live and have a normal life, but you said I can also help other people because of it. And that's some heroic shit, dude.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, man. I appreciate you. All right, fucker. Before I start bawling, and before you start bawling, because we all know that crying only gets you a wet shirt, we're going to say goodbye. I appreciate you being here. Is there any last words you'd like to say to our listeners?
Thank you so much for having me on this podcast. I look forward to listening to it, and Lauren looks forward to listening to it and making fun of my voice.
Super fair. I think that because she's dealt with you for the last 8 years, you should go off and find a ring in her size. Just saying. And I'm going to end it with that. All right, folks. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you next time. It's Lou Johnson, Forward March Podcast. Keep pushing forward. Good night.